Wyatt Herbert. That's a contradiction in terms.
Yeah, that's what
Who's the one next to you over there?
Nora.
Nora who? Just ignore her? Okay, we'll just ignore her then. That looks like a Hawkins then, huh? All right, let me back up here and I'll find out. All right, who's this one here now?
Chad.
Chad?
Do I say who I am?
If you can remember, yes, please.
Cousin John.
And? All right, say it loud enough so we can hear it. Faith who?
42 years ago, I'd end up here. I joined the Herbert family.
All right, who's this guy sitting next to you there?
Martha, you're on camera. That's Martha.
All right, you're on.
I'm Anthony.
So what?
I'm Renato. I'm married to Martha.
And I'm married to Martha too.
Competition.
Yeah. Big time. Hi, I'm Allison, and I don't know what I am here.
What, we're going to be in a TV show?
Yeah, you're going to be on a video. Lauren's daughter.
Home movie.
All right, now. And? Chris what?
What is?
What's your last name?
There we go. Yay. All right.
All right, here it is. It's on.
Turn the TV off. That's what you were going to say.
That's it?
That was it, Johnny.
Mom is a bad girl.
Okay, you're on.
Oh, wait, Daddy, you know who I am.
All right, who's next to you there? Just let people know who you are.
I'm Annie.
Say it again.
Yeah, I'm Annie Herbert, the youngest of all four. They say the best around.
Yeah, remember 1971. Okay, who's that distinguished gentleman with the bowler tie there? Okay. Say anything you want. You've got exactly 3 seconds. All right, that's enough. You're off. Too late. All right, Rosemary.
I'm the second oldest not on this whole tree.
Second oldest. Okay. All right, you got another chance, Nora. Now.
I'm married to Steve called the old because I think
All right, now tell everybody who you are. No, you Pat, he Herbert, he you. All right, you're on.
I'm Eileen. Herbert.
Who's next to you?
I figured the whole thing out just as you were leaving. Polly started talking.
Not even that, no.
All right. Who's the kid who's yawning over there?
What's your name? Nicholas Castillo.
Oh, he's gonna be a ventriloquist. He's
All right, Nick, wave to your dad. Wave for your dad. Say something stupid, like everybody else.
Say something stupid.
like everybody else.
Say how you're related. I'm Kathy Herbert. This is my husband Eric.
Yeah, but there's a lot of Herberts here. What does that mean?
Whose child? I'm daughter of Robert and Virginia Herbert.
You mean like Bob, right?
That's a God.
Okay.
Common fate to the rest of the crowd. Yeah.
Okay. Anything? Say your name.
I'm Leslie.
Okay. Anything else you want to say?
Who's your grandmother? The next grandmother. She's the oldest Herbert. She's the oldest Herbert. My mom's the oldest Herbert.
Okay.
My mom's the oldest Herbert. The what?
Okay.
Wisdom comes with age.
That's right.
All right, who do we have next now?
I'm Winnie, a.k.a. Queen.
Gwee. Okay, Gwee. You're very agreeable.
I'm very agreeable, happy to be here.
Okay.
I'm number 7 of the original group. There's 6 older, 1 younger. That makes me number 7.
Yeah, that's right.
Lucky 7, 7 and 11, right?
Just 7. 7 out of 8.
All right, who's next to you there now?
Now, Amy, are you number 1 twin or number 2 twin?
That's right. There's a difference now.
Or do you have the Tony?
Amy, so did he. Ooh, sizzling rice.
No.
The Herbert crest. Both at the restaurant.
I'm Chris. This is Anthony Cody. I'm number 2 in my family, but as a Herbert, I'm married to a number 2 too.
All right, so you've been in training for your 2-2, huh? Wait, I gotta get new batteries.
Now you got him like.
What? Repeat it down here.
Mom?
What?
Repeat it to each table box.
Bad chance. Get her a megaphone.
Mom?
What?
Up.
What?
Up.
Feet up?
Down.
Yeah, okay. Let me get here, All right, folks. Tonight, as we gather together in celebration of our parents' 100th birthdays, we realize some of our dear ones are missing. There are those who are unable to attend for various reasons, and there are our loved ones who have gone forever, but their spiritual presence is here among us. I wish you all to rise and toast the loving memories of Fred Cody, Morris and Michael Cronin, and Edward Lachad. They are truly missed by all of us. So a toast to them. Keep my siblings feel as I do, namely a deep, deep debt of gratitude and thanks to our sisters, Rosemary Cronin and Patricia Cody, for the loving care and attention they gave to our mother during the last years of her life. I, for one, will always feel in debt to them, not only for Mom's care, but for the peace of mind for me. I think we all do. At this time, the East Coasters wants to thank our West Coasters for all their plans and arrangements and work for the family reunion. It's hard to believe we're all here and events are running so smoothly. But with Pat at the helm and Chris and Anthony first and second mates, we have smooth sailing. Great applause and happiness for our Herbert Herald editors. We all look forward eagerly to each issue. Friends and acquaintances are always asking to read them, and they enjoy them as much as we do, if that's possible. One more and they're finished. Pat requests that all those who are taking pictures to please have 2 sets made and 1 sent to her for selection. Okay, that's it. Thanks. Bob and Mary,
What about a Christmas at
Or
home?
Christmas might do it.
When everybody should all be together?
Yes, Christmas would do it.
Was there any Christmas that was particularly memorable?
Oh, 5 of us came down the stairs with monks at the same time.
Oh, there's one. Okay.
I was one of the mumpers. Christmas would be one. Christmas would be just an average meal with Mom and Dad would be a pretty good one. Various rules are introduced. We observed or didn't quite observe. Great, and actually quite a few of our, like our father, slept from noon until 6 o'clock, and religiously at 6 we sat at the supper table. We were at school in the morning, and normally most of the year we wouldn't see him in the morning. And he would, silence is more or less going to end about he and my mother were speaking because they hadn't seen each other. And then Dad would turn on Lowell Thomas, and really actually news broadcast. We had to be quiet so that we could listen. And then we finish supper. And then we go our separate ways. So supper time was the one time when we were all together, guaranteed. So an awful lot of family anecdotes, some of which I remember, some of which I think I remember because they were repeated so often. We all have our favorite supper time. I'd be inclined to think of memorable suppers. Cover the ranch.
I was married last year. I was down here. Your grandpa,
Not every day. Sometimes I ride my bike and practice. Race. My mom said something about race. That's why I made my first practice. That was sweet.
Somebody eat your nice
Partly because she's got a connection wasn't really trusting.
What are you doing?
Well, show your dad. That would have been interesting to see what your dad would have done at Kennedy and Nixon because of the Catholic Church. You're a star. That was such a story.
Let's do marriage if you want to go there. I bet you can.
My mother was really devout. I was so damn
You have to look at the camera though, Meredith.
my father was in church.
Daddy, look. Dad.
I got you.
But it has volleyball bat and baseball case and...
Dad, look at this.
I got you.
I can do that, but I don't.
Oh, good morning, John. The bread hanging out of...
It's not the bread hanging out of your mouth, it's the stuff hanging out of your nose.
Oh, that? Thanks.
Wow, if it isn't Spuds McKenzie.
It's avocado, Makoti.
Well, same difference.
Mmm. Breakfast.
And look who we have in the corner here with sun all over her face.
The intellectual of the
Well, it isn't.
At least it's sun and nothing. Something.
Well, it isn't Vanny Bright Eyes.
Vanussi Matusi.
Vanessa's been the earliest
All the way
riser
from
this
where?
whole week.
From where? New York! I'm doing the scooper duper.
You're really brilliant this morning. Can you say something that really makes you sound intelligent?
No.
That's about right, I guess. Consistent, huh? All right, don't talk to the camera because it may talk back.
Is your voice coming here?
Yes, it does.
What?
I'm asking him if his voice.
Yeah, you'll hear my voice.
Oh, great. Oh, goody.
I take it you like to do this with avocados better.
So we were peeling them, and then she said, "Scoop them out." I said, "Well,
Too late.
quarters, and you'd be able to peel it." And I don't peel too well, so I said, "Just cut it."
That's the nice thing about a video camera. You can't tell when it's on.
Certainly are.
I think it just has some strawberry jelly or something on it.
boy.
Kevin, get your dad out of here.
Wait, not now, because I'm on a roll.
Kevin, go dance in front of the camera, okay? So,
How do you like? Yeah. So how do you like watching television?
well, cartoons are really not my favorite. I can put up with them. I came in here to avoid the video camera, though.
Let's see who we got
Do you
here.
do this a lot at home, Kevin?
Yeah.
Really?
Did you brush your teeth this morning? Then let's not see your teeth. Yucko. Okay, that's all I need. We're fading out now, Kevin. Bye. What? Oh, just the camera.
Oh, good. Scratching my neck. Good shot. Is it gone yet?
Why you're so
So you have to do it like an endocrinologist. Take the sneakers off. There you go.
Uh-oh.
And then I use something very scientific. I usually use a
Take-
tissue
Now we have
box.
to pat her down.
I use a
Take the hair off, too.
Tissue box as a straight edge.
This whole procedure is going to leave you on edge, Vanessa, but that's okay.
Up, down, down. No, you press it
No,
in your head.
wait a minute. No, this is the way you do it.
Get the
Suck
doc
it
in the act.
Stand up.
Suck it
Stand
in.
up straight. Tiptoe.
Oh,
Suck it in. Choco.
Turn around. Let's get the measurement correct.
Alright, right here. Always looks like 5'2". Okay, 5 feet. That's 5 foot more. Five, 2, and a
hair?
and a hair, and an 8. Oh, quarter.
Yay!
Vanessa, they have that floor raised in that area, so it adds an inch.
That one was this tall when. Look at her, she's taller
Oh,
than me.
same thing. Suck it in.
What
Suck
is
it
this?
in.
It's getting taller and taller.
I know. There we go.
Yeah, wait. If you put that, I can't.
That's right. It was
Going
adding
down the hill
on.
there. Give her a break.
Yeah, they're rating in the width of the mirror and of the ruler now too.
Yeah, I love that. Straight
She's
edge.
not
It's
that
always
much
great
taller.
to name.
Woo!
Sam.
She's 63. 5. Wait, where? 5.
Oh, is this
2,
for the picnic?
And almost in 3
I saw so
quarters.
many of them too. I think
Yeah, you have thicker socks on than Vanessa has. That's
Okay,
why.
right. Now,
I know.
Yeah, go ahead.
I came out for another purpose.
Parade of the Dolly Sisters.
I wanted to make sure that a couple of that a chair, a folding chair, and 2 folding chairs are taken up for you and Sheila because there's picnic benches and they don't have backs.
Where's the folding chair?
Well, I have a folding chair in my kitchen and I have a folding chair in the backyard.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is Robin Lynch here, Berkeley, California, on July 22nd, 1989. Lifestyles of the Poor and Struggling. Chapter 3, Volume 4, page 6. And who do we have coming out of the house right now? Why, it looks like Hawkins, an Arthur Hawkins coming down. Is he tabling that motion, or has he got a chair? Well, right now he's near that pole position there, folks. And who do we have at the door right now? Why, it looks like yes it is. It's Nora Cody. Yes. In her inevitable way of walking down the stairs. Yes, sirree. And what? Nora, can you say a few words for us, please?
What do I do now?
Yeah, it's about right. What do we do now? Well, we're here this morning to show all of our friends and neighbors in television land just exactly what they...
This is the famous ancestral vehicle,
Oh, let me see now. This is...
the exquisite Honda Accord.
Yeah.
I'm the lady of the manor for the last 25 years.
Well, let me tell you, Miss Cody, if that's an Accord, then I'm a pizza pie, because it looks more like a Civic to me.
Oh, well, the thing
Well, that's okay. You may not know...
the car family here.
You may not know the car very well, but maybe we can take a walk inside right now. Is that possible? Well, thank you very much. Let us take a walk inside now. We're following Nora Cody's rear end right now into the house.
English garden, which has now become a Berkeley forest.
An ecological.
What are those plants in the background? Are they used for smoking or something?
Let's quickly go inside the house.
Yes, I think we better, folks. Yes. Oh, and what are these? The poopsies on the sidewalk here, all looking like they belong in this place?
Trolls that live under the garden.
Yes, that famous novel, For Whom the Bells Troll, right?
Throw him away.
Yes. Let us take a walk inside now. And my camera just... Ladies and gentlemen, we are on the boardwalk leading into the house of the ancestral mansion, I believe that sign says. Let me focus that in a little bit closely. Yes, it says...
The ancestral mansion.
Also known as
We just put that sign up yesterday, but it's quite an ancestral mansion.
Looks like it's spelled wrong, but that's okay. It also says Cody 3021. And here's the door to this infamous mansion right here.
With the famous horseshoe over the top, signifying the long tradition of equestrian arts that we have in this family.
Sounds like a lot of horseshoe to me. All right, let's walk inside.
The middle class
What, can you... Take two.
Another one inside.
Take two.
No, he does the voice.
No.
Nora, you're supposed to be the lady of the house. Stop slipping into Robin's.
Step into my parlor. Whoops.
Show my bicycle.
This is... Turn off the TV, please, Captain. This is one of the street urchins who run in and out of the house.
Street urchin. Yes, Mr. Street Urchin. What do you have to say for yourself? That's very good. Let's go on now, please.
Not too articulate, but we're trying to teach him to speak.
Good. Get this kid out of here, would you please?
This is a fine example of Berkeley architecture here. Where many Herbert clan members have gathered over the years. Do we want to pan the photo display here with our leader Jesse prominently displayed with our leader Celia Cody?
Yes, I noticed yesterday he's got lily white hands there.
No, well, yeah, in his hands. Martha Canaro, and the lovely collection of Gouda, Pat Cody's favorite putty, and former Lord of Manor, Fred.
Let me get in a little bit closer into the photo here. You're giving me a little bit of reflection by turning it. That's much better. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. I'm used to this TV stuff.
Yes. Okay, I'm now painting across two paintings on the wall here.
Well, that's a fine example of pre-Columbian art by Celia Cody. And what is that? Mom, what's that sketch?
Yes, the lady of the house is not quite sure. It's like,
That's a Malay chin study there.
Malay. It looks like a Malaysian to me, but what do I know? What do I know?
Woman with double chin.
Is the lady born to the manor?
Lady born herself.
The lady
To the manor born.
The lady about to make potato salad.
Oh, looks like she's making book right now. Yes, ladies and gentlemen.
Why don't you lead them into the kitchen?
I'm sure you can bet on that too. Oh yes, why don't you please lead us into the kitchen? Whoa, whoa! Can you move that bike, please? Yes, sir. Thank you. Ah, yes, the infamous Berkeley Cody kitchen.
The 1950 style.
1950 style.
Yes. What do we have of interest here? Not really. About the main thing of interest here is an illegal stove.
Well, it looks like a real.
I shot it at a
Ah, yes, the old infamous
illegal
gas.
stove that you can burn trash in, and also use to keep warm in the home.
Very ecologically minded Berkeleyans here. We have a painting, an original.
Yes, let's see this.
Oil by Kristen Prentice.
Christian Prentice. Let me get out of the. Ah, now we don't have the glare. Yes, I can see. It looks like a checkered flag on the floor. Must be a racing picture of some sort or other.
Something like that, yeah.
Yes, very nice, very nice.
And our hero.
The study, where all the great works are being written.
This is where all the, yes. Another shot of the Cody name. We're not bashful here.
Yes, yes. Quite well done, I must say. Spelled correctly this time, too.
The great works and the great pies.
The great works and the great
The
pie.
elderberry pie.
The elderberry pie for the elderberry.
Oh, is there the younger berries are not here? Oh, look at that
Shot of
pie.
that pie.
Looks like 2 pies here.
2 pies.
Yes, that's for 11 people for tonight.
Ah, yes. Lovely.
Outside.
The skylight.
All right, and now we are panning around the study, and you can see all the books.
Lots of books.
Lots of books here, folks. Lots of books.
Grateful Dead.
Grateful Dead. I'm probably glad that they are, too.
Mayday.
This is also the office of the Herbert Herald.
Office of the Herbert
Ah, yes.
Herald.
And there's where the
Herbert
Herbert-
Herald
Don't
production
rip off Cody's.
unit. Yep.
And then over to the right here, we see something a little bit in Italian, I suppose, right? La Musica della Imprendea. Yes, it looks like Italian, folks.
Right, well,
what would they know?
That's from Lyon, from my trip to Lyon.
Lyon.
2 summers
Well,
ago.
I've been there. It's pronounced lion, I believe. I'm not lying to you by any chance. This is simply Robin Lynch and our version of the poor and the homeless. And you are now on screen. By the way, I love this lovely wash that you have hanging on the line here. Focusing in on some underwear. Is that what that is right there?
Yes, that's male underwear.
And that's you're making a clean sweep of it, I can tell today.
Yes, I'm trying.
Very well, very nice.
Having a few little obstacles in my way.
Would you like a couple of chickens to play with this morning?
Voyeuristic neighbors visiting.
Johnny.
Okay, we're now focusing in on a chicken coop, I believe.
With a Rhode Island red.
A red, looks like a leghorn to me, but what do I know about chickens?
Oh, Uncle Hugh said it was a Rhode Island.
And there's the
The Rhode Island Reds.
Rhode Island red.
They are
Wow.
Rhode Island red.
Is that like anything like Acapulco Gold?
Something like that. And
Then off to the right, behind the chicken coop,
through the woods to Grandma's house.
Grandma's house, the infamous Grandma Rose Cottage. Ah, yes. This is it right here, folks. In all its living brown and white. Steps, shovel, yes, we've got them all in there too, folks. Windows. Back to the chicken coop. There must be more, there must be more.
We're back inside. The rabbit? The rabbit is really not that much there. The
Nothing.
rabbit is just a rabbit. You've all seen a rabbit?
Well, okay, then let's forget the rabbit this time. The last miss.
She's gonna do it.
Here, try it again, would you please?
Come back.
This is the typical Herbert dinner. Can we get a close-up on that?
Let me see.
Just the typical green slime. We usually put peanut butter on there.
That looks very delicious. Is that one of the Herbert specialties?
It is delicious, and we like to have that with
sorry.
a little squash.
I would bet somebody said that's a zucchini. I'd like to squash that rumor right now. Why don't we walk inside the dining room here and see what else there is we might want to focus in on? Probably nothing, but let's do it in any
Probably
case.
nothing. Well, we usually the Gouda collection.
Good morning.
Let's do a little delicate mitt pointing here to the Gouda collection. Gouda, 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 Gouda.
Good aplenty.
Gouda morning here. A lot of Gouda here.
Not to be confused with Buddha in the
And I
morning.
think we gotta have a little focus shot on the true progenitor, Grandma Rose and Grandma Rose.
All right, let's.
With Uncle Fred in
why don't you point those out again to us, okay? Let's.
Okay. Here we have Rose. We've got Uncle Fred over here milking the cow.
Yes.
We've got Uncle Fred and his brother John. Grandma. And who's that? I don't know. I think that's Grandma Cody. And some more Codys. You're mainly interested in the Herbert.
Well, we want to thank
And
you.
the rest are plates.
Well, Nora, Cody, we want to thank you very much for this wonderful tour of the Cody residence today, and
Anytime, Robin.
let's just hope that we can do this again sometime, maybe in about 50 years.
Maybe, yeah.
Thank you very much once again. Goodbye now. Is that the famous Barb Herbert with the aerodynamic downforce sunglasses? Ah, there he is. He's being very flippant once again, I notice.
It's actually because the light is so bright inside, I always wear my shades indoors in bright houses. And this is Berkeley postage, which comes without glue.
Well,
Just like in China, that's the way.
you know what I say? Help stamp out glue.
Yes. It's a 1931 stamp that my sister has saved, but I think it's still valid.
What is it, 3 cents?
It's not been canceled.
Half a cent.
No, it's 25 cents. Should be enough. It should be enough. All they have to do is apply the glue.
Now you need the envelope.
Les?
Are you ready?
I got a sweep, so tell them that I need about 5 seconds at least.
Do you want everybody to move in?
If they want to move in a little bit, yeah.
I think they would have stopped early. It's great to be here.
Hey, is this the wishbone? Yeah.
Also, I'd like to have a word for...
Here, the pork, I said it's a wishbone. Here's Paul.
It's a typical Herbert table, that's all I can say.
Shut up! It's my turn to talk.
I would like to have a word for Maury, Fred, and Ed.
Good.
They're
Here.
here.
A third of the
I think
school.
if you don't mind, what I'll do is I'll drop something. Oh, it's confusing now, Pat, because some have already had it. There's 4/11ths.
So now we're only left
4/11ths.
with 4.
There's 4/11ths over here.
Get that
It's not 1/11th anymore, Bob, it's what?
They're over.
Oh, yeah.
Switch.
And the I think everybody's got it on there.
I got it. Wait a minute, Ma, that's not the way you do it.
Just the way it was.
There you go.
It ain't gonna get any better.
Potatoes and take
There, you gotta take 1/11.
Why do we have a reunion every year?
Somebody pass the applesauce, please.
Have you all had your gravy?
Because the outlaws are going to finish it. If you haven't, you're in trouble.
He's had a certain amount. Take it easy, there's more potatoes, we're running again.
It's hot on the bottom.
Patricia,
Yes, my dear.
excellent.
Guys, our, where's that salt? 5 stars, Pat. Is there salt in it?
Just the way it was.
Compliments to the chef.
No higher accolade can be given.
Zebras, all right.
We have our gives on greater that.
I was smelling down those.
Is that all right? So what's your-
If only the price could be, if only the price could be the same, 19 cents a pound.
Okay, outcasts.
Outlast.
19 cents a pound, 18 cents a pound.
It's great to be here. Great to be here.
Great.
That's it.
Even if you have to ride in the caboose, right?
The cost of meat must have been
How many
proportionally
years
lower
for
because
you?
we had
45
standing meat roast.
Listen, how about you guys?
Yeah, we
Yeah,
had in the
yeah.
family. Well, we had
I don't know if they get saved, they get horrible words. It must have been
I don't remember standing rib roast, you may do, but
No, it was standing room only.
Almost every
No, my standing roast was
I chased, I chased the trip married.
What?
Prime ribs of beef. We never have prime ribs of beef at home, we have pot roast.
That's not the same thing.
Oh my, no.
Well, of course, I remember later when they, in fact,
There's at least 4 members left.
when it was reduced to the nuclear marrying. I mean, do you remember rib roast?
Yeah?
No problem.
I know.
Well, I remember most of
You
the
used to love
pot
standing
roast
rib
and
roast, the
bacon.
beef roast.
We never had rib roast in our lives.
Look at Steve.
Chicken.
What about it?
Well, Christmas is delicious,
Yeah,
Pat.
it did.
No, I said, Mom used to, that's
oh,
one of
yeah.
them.
You know, I think I could just make a meal out of it.
Then the smell of that cooking when the onion neck foot throughout the house on
Brian,
Sunday.
he's a meat and potato guy.
Don't you always have someone looking
They're
over your
mashed
shoulder?
legs, something out of
Pain in
there.
the ass.
Yeah. My mother always.
If you think I'm a pain in the ass, my mother did a good job then, because that's how she raised me.
You did a good job.
Honey?
No, we haven't eaten yet. We're just gonna end.
Well, now we have the infamous elderberry pies walking in as we speak.
Oh, yeah, I was.
The few people have hands long.
Somebody needs to say something about the pies.
Why? Oh, original elderberry pie. Where did you get the elderberries?
At the,
Just
2 days before the
Oh,
China.
Pat, good Lord, you know, I didn't know you made elderberry pies at all when I stepped on. Now I see, but I didn't know that
The
at all.
elderberries
I was
are
asking.
Elderberry pie.
Now you can see if they're gritty.
Now
Now
we'll
you
see. Now
can see
we'll
whether
see.
it's gritty
They were
now.
saying, oh my.
I mean, I've never seen elderberry sold.
That's the first time I ever saw them in the.
How many of you remember pulling elderberry?
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
with the purple.
Back, your hands all purple.
Yes.
And then
And they smell. Well, you remember they used to get those stink bugs in there, remember?
No, blueberries, stink bugs on the
No, no,
blueberries.
yeah, elderberries.
Little brown,
You
little
ever
brown
eat
stink
that?
bugs.
Little beetles.
When I
they're
was
stink
picking
bugs.
blueberries one
Thank
time,
goodness.
I ate half a stink bug.
That's
Oh,
because
they're
they're
very
very bitter.
I remember
Stink
going
bugs
to
are
the
very
Oh, I
bitter.
can remember, yeah.
That's why you have to try to be
Elderberries
seats.
up on the brook on the way
Where are the
around.
kids?
This was in Oxford.
Rosemary, do you
They're
remember
eating.
somebody stopping us by the
Did
side of the
you eat
road?
them
We
too?
were picking
You got that.
elderberries, telling us we were going to be poisoned.
Yes, and Mystic.
Oh, of course. And many years after that, I saw elderberry jelly for the first time in the A&P. And Page Brand.
I remember that French book.
Nobody eats them around South Africa.
Nora,
Nobody.
when I was in Italy one time, I was down in Town Square in Sermonetta. And a lot of the men were there. And they had what I thought were elderberry bushes right there. And I said, oh, what do you call these? And they said, Zambuca. And I said, oh. I said, back home we use those to make jelly and pie. And they said, oh, is that right? So I was back in the hotel and I was talking to our friend in a hotel. And I mentioned to him, he said, no. He said, they're poison. Can't eat those, Zambuca. And I said, why wouldn't they tell me they're poison? He said, oh, but he said, you said that you ate them and made pie. They didn't want to call you a liar. I said, you know, in this country they say, well, you can't do that.
That's your sister.
You know, when we went down to Florida and we went to Silver Springs and rode this along the road, I saw all of these bushes.
I'll have half of the piece that Sheila left.
And I said to this fellow when I got out, I said, weren't those elderberries? He said, yes, they were.
You
because
mean
I
you
cut
want
them
her
away.
piece, your piece?
And I said, well, I do
her
too. He
half.
said,
No,
I
no,
gave you the
half,
same
the half that she didn't
And
get.
we thought that was worth $40.
Oh, well, let's.
Me too, I'll need to.
But nobody knew they were
Yeah.
elderberries, nobody was
That
making
means
jam.
that Faith and Don will get an extra piece.
What's this?
No,
I want to ask you.
That's for Artie.
We need a little more sugar on it.
I want to ask you all if you remember the Christmas
we four-door got the last laugh. Here's the sugar with the
Oh,
mouse. I remember that.
And we laughed and poked fun because with the chubby little cheeks.
So the six of us had them.
Yeah,
And
but
I-
5 of us came down with a
Yeah.
Christmas
I
day.
gave everybody the mumps and I was
That
here
was
for
how
the
old
play.
That was our first
How old were we
Christmas
then?
at Walton.
You was a baby, Don.
Yeah.
In the high
Before my time.
school.
You were around, yeah.
And I was the only one healthy enough to play with all the toys.
Nora, really?
Yeah.
Thanks, Mom.
Everybody else was sick. I got mine early and gave them to them.
Yes, Mother came to call us Christmas morning and she had 5 little chipmunks
Pass the sugar when you're through.
with the mumps.
Yeah.
That was one of her
Pass the
favorite
sugar
stories,
back,
you know,
please.
she would tell people.
And I was
"Pass
so
the sugar."
mad. He hurt
In a
like
minute, in a
the
minute.
devil, but I
Don,
said,
Let me see.
oh, listen, there's enough for you guys. At least you could have a taste of this famous elderberry pie, you guys. These more sugar. Don and Wes.
Have a little pie with your sugar, Uncle Paul.
Yeah.
Well, that's the answer.
Wait for the sweets.
In answer, the elderberries I got taste just like this. They did have that fine seed, so they're different kinds of wild elderberries, or different types of elderberries.
Listen. How about you guys?
I'll pick them somewhere else next time.
Where are you gonna have elderberry?
Guy's name was the journalist who's always over here. No, no.
Him too, though.
Sakura, Andre Sakura for whatever.
Let's see, Pushkin.
Pushkin? What's
What time is it?
Listen,
Gorky.
where's that's from Star
I already
Trek.
said that.
Did
Krupskaya.
Molotov.
Molotov.
Any women?
Lysenko.
Time.
Reza?
Okay, I don't think you
Romiko.
got Sharansky or the Czar.
The
You
Tsar.
got 7 and you got number 6.
No, we need number 6. All right, we got 3 extra points.
What were the other ones?
9.
Ways to prepare eggs. Carbonara.
Ready?
Go. Hard-boiled, soft-boiled, over easy.
Scrambled.
Toast.
Side up.
Side down.
Eggs Benedict. That's
Quiche.
Okay, line up.
Eggs and ham. Eggs and bacon.
I mean, green eggs.
Egg drop.
Deviled eggs. Deviled eggs.
Espresso eggs.
Oh, deviled eggs. Eggs away.
Egg soup slices. Egg salad.
Deviled eggs. Deviled eggs.
Egg salad. What is it? Eggs in a drink. What do you call it?
William III.
Scrambled.
We got scrambled.
Soft boiled.
Got it.
Hard boiled.
Got it.
Over easy.
Got it.
Sunny side.
Got
Omelet.
Got
Deviled.
Yeah.
Souffle.
Yeah.
Coddled. Okay, we said Ann Arbor, Annapolis, Anchorage. Are these United States? We go to Europe. Anywhere, Europe.
Let's
Anchorage, Mexico, I thought America,
Australia.
How do you spell? That's the same.
Signing salesman was in there. How do you know what's in there?
Oh my gosh.
Accurate.
That was what you got.
Yes.
Yes. Amarillo, you didn't get.
No.
Austin.
Yes.
Atlanta.
Yes.
Anchorage.
Yes.
Aspen.
Yes.
Ann Arbor.
Yes.
Atlantic City.
No.
Allentown.
No.
Albany.
Yes.
Yeah, you got
Okay,
7. Did we get number 8?
Lucky.
No. Okay. We're not starting.
We're not starting. Somebody was doing something.
Oh yeah. Vanessa. Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay,
Go.
good.
Don Meredith.
Don James. Dr. No.
Don Samuel. Don Amici, that's good.
Don Juan.
John Johnson.
Don Corleone.
Oh, is it?
Don Pardo.
Don Sarl.
Don Sullivan, Don Jones, Don Drysdale, Don Sutton,
Hey, they're TV
Donny Osmond.
Whoa, Hanaro, you're showing your age.
Animal sounds. Amy and Vanessa will now do a duo performing 10 animal sounds. Go! Sheep.
Nay.
Horse. Dog.
Doodle-doo.
Rooster.
Cluck, 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 cluck.
Okay.
Meow, meow.
Moo.
Nay,
What was that?
This is only a farm animal.
Lion. Would you like?
What was that?
Oh, wait, this is barnyard animal.
They're not barnyard.
What about a
Gorilla. A moose. Monkey. Do monkey. I can't do monkey. Tweet, tweet, tweet. Do monkey. Gorilla. I can't do monkey.
A baboon.
I can't do monkey. Terrifying.
Have they got it for you?
Yeah, they
What did
They missed quack, quack.
Oh.
And they missed. Oh!
I did that. Oh, she did that. She did that. Hey, no, let's see that again. Stop it.
Oh, yeah, I sleep for all this.
Hey, Nora, let's see that.
You ever think you'd come to this? I get so depressed, man. Mom, you know how embarrassed I get.
Now look, I made this, and you know how long it took me to
You sure?
Yes, I'm
You know how embarrassed I am.
I wonder what it's going to say.
I took one. Oh, yes, you could.
Thanks for saying that, everybody.
Okay.
193.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Rose. Happy birthday to you.
TV 44.
The people that we owe a lot of thanks and gratitude to are Aunt Pat, Anthony, and Chris. They did the majority of the work. As an appreciation,
We took up a collection after much haggling and debate. And, of course, the Herbert.
Oh, my trip to Italy? No!
Those of you who are Penny, you know who you are. You guys should be quiet down. We want Anthony and Chris and Pat Cody to be our guests at dinner at Bucci's restaurant in Berkeley. And we also have enough left over that we're hoping you'll be able to frame the Herbert family reunion posters. So, Anthony, your mom, Chris, if you'd like to come up and accept this.
Cheers!
A lot of money,
Speech, speech.
I'll roll it up into little balls and hang it from
I'm glad you joined TV.
Iron it first, Sam, remember?
This should do it. Thank you very much.
A word from number 4.
Thank you.
A word from number 4.
Yes.
There's 2 of them. That's the first time I've seen one red stand.
Ever modest, that's her mother. It's amazing that she produced these children.
I would like, no, I know what I would like to say. I would like to say a special, special thank you to Chris, whose great artistic abilities you see not only in the shirts, but in the Herbert Herald all the time. That, I mean, it would be a grungy-looking mimeograph.
And written at that.
Right.
Kate.
You're going to do the original 8?
No,
Sounds like
a
Where anymore?
Sheila, pay attention. Pay attention. Pay attention. Mom, get back. Hey guys.
Anthony, I guess.
There you go. Okay. Woo, wrap yours.
Hey, my goodness, what are you feeding?
Give us an H. You can give us an E. Give us an R. Give us a B. Give us an E. Give us an R. Give us a T. What does it spell? Holly is going to be so disappointed she didn't come and find out that she was taller than someone. Mommy should see.
But that's not fair. Everybody's taller than Maria.
Well, so far Meredith is.
Yeah, but Meredith could die.
I told her she'll never ever have to worry about being.
Don't let the little kids go empty.
No, of course not. I'm not a little kid.
Yes, you are.
He's a big kid.
Look, baby! Do I get to do it now?
It's a house that's open here.
It's great, you just
Oh, yeah?
Quiet, quiet. No, I just want to make sure everybody got to see that. Quiet. There's some people in the living room. Somebody needs to speak. Can I say, here's the cake. Rose and Jack, 100 years. When I asked the bakery to make an apple tree, and they said, do you want apples on it? And I said, yes. I did not say how many, and they made 10 apples. Oh. So there it is.
Cut equal size cake.
I have my ruler. I have my ruler.
You cut, we get to choose.
Everybody gets 1/11 of the gravy.
I want an apple on mine, Pat.
One of my
No, that's for my mother. She was alive. She would be 100 today.
I got an apple.
Make sure you don't break the cake. It's great.
I'll make a floral.
Look at the kids. They got other props in the exhibition. She had grandma had a trouble. Like, oh, right in the front. Smile. Yeah.
Incidentally, increasingly because one of the things American artists like the world know started about 20 years ago by Navajo and it's textile going now actually it's a growing trade in quote textile restoration. It used to be limited to medieval Renaissance famous shirt styles. Now it's more and more. I thought they would never go beyond that. Especially restoration when everybody began using macaroni and piccata. So in Paris, they just restoration.
All right, how was the cake?
delicious.
Delicious. Like, I might have another piece. It's so good.
Just like I made it.
But what I
They change their nature entirely. Oh yeah, they can. Yeah, they can.
We're going to do, Paul,
Here we are.
we're going to do one more.
There's three sages of
The two families that
the
have
Herbert family.
So we're going to take one more Cody.
Combined experience level of 180 years. Bearers of the genes. Bearers of the genes, right.
If you want to ask us questions, if you want to ask us questions, we'll be glad to give you some answers.
You're backlit, guys. Come on, you're backlit.
We are sages. We are never front camera. We're front camera.
Oh, well, let's see that.
All right, say something sageable now.
Sage?
Sageable.
Sageable.
Sageable. Okay.
Like Shogagog, man, Shogagog, Shabbat.
Do it in unison. 1, 2, 3. Shogagog, man, Shogagog, Shabbat. Or you fish on your side of the lake, I fish on my side of the lake, and nobody fishes in the middle. That is apocryphal.
Next time we're just gonna rent a pole. I think when it's in New York, we'll just like take over a whole train car.
Lock them down forever.
We should party on the train. Pay a photographer. John, be a lot easier.
Nicholas, we're not here. Nicholas.
But I don't know if a photographer would be willing to shoot.
All right, guys, wait for the video. We'll do something, okay? Yeah, okay. Come on. Let's see some animation there.
Look away. I know, you got your coffee there. It's supposed to like people running.
Boy, what a boring family.
It's the music. Music to go with it. Give us a beat.
Hey,
Sarah, let's see the
Sarah.
stomach thing.
Show us the stomach.
What's the stomach thing? Oh, watch
Don't be shy.
Let's show her tongue. Watch what she can do with her tongue. Let's turn your feet around.
Turn the legs.
Wait.
Wow.
She's doing her show. Can you see that? All the way backwards.
Boy, you got good help.
Wait. Now let me get the tongue again now. Wait a minute. Wait.
Her tongue is
All right, give it again.
everybody, new kids will come home. Can you do this? Can you do this?
You guys started it.
He's tired.
Okay, listen for the birdie. Look at the camera. Nicholas, listen for the birdie. The birdie.
Chris, 3 bags.
What's 8? My one memory of my mother, amongst all other things, was that when I just shortly before I was to leave to go into training in Beth Israel in New York City, which was quite a move from a small town of 3,500. I remember saying to Mom, well, Mom, I said, I'll be going away. I said, there'll be one less mouth for you to feed. This was the height of the Depression. And my mother sat me down and sat down in a chair herself. And she said, Sheila, if I had 27 children, she said, and one was missing, that one would always be missed. And that's one thing I remember of my mother. Hey, Rosemary?
Really?
They left.
Tell me when.
When?
Go ahead. Okay, one very memorable thing about Mom. There are so many memories, it's hard to pick out one in particular. But one that stands out, I think more than anything in my mind, was how Mom received Dad every day. Every morning, Dad never failed to leave the house without kissing Mom and any of us that were still around goodbye. And she watched the clock all day, and no matter what she was doing, she could be baking, she could be scrubbing floors, she could be canning. When it was time for Dad to come home, she stopped whatever she was doing. She went in the bedroom, she combed her hair, she either changed and put on a clean dress or a clean apron, and when Dad walked in the door, she was as perfect as she could be. And that happened always. She never met Dad. She never failed to do that. And I remember that more than anything about Mom.
Especially at Christmas time. Dad was always busy, or perhaps Mother was more Christmas-minded. We didn't have a great deal at Christmas time. Many Christmases were saved by my Aunt Millie, sending us a Christmas package with presents for everyone, jam she had made in the winter in Florida, and fruitcake she had made for Mom. But Mother would spend the same on each one of us. And she would stay up after we all went to bed and decorate the tree, and then she wouldn't allow any of us to come downstairs before 6 o'clock the next morning. And we had to wait until we were all dressed, and then we'd all thunder down into the living room. So I always remember Mother at Christmas Day.
Technology. There goes the tape recorder.
Wait, it's unplugged.
What's working? Can you start again?
There's an 18-minute gap now.
That's what it gets tomorrow.
I am not a crook. I am not a crook.
Well, one of my memories, of course, we all have so many memories, and one of them came back to me this week with the announcement of the death of Laurence Olivier, who was always my top favorite, the only actor I ever had a crush on. And when the movie Rebecca came out in 1939, and I went up to the Strand Theater in Mystic, which cost 35 cents, which was what I earned for a whole evening of babysitting. And I came home, and stars in my eyes, and this was such a wonderful. I just was very inarticulate, but my mother understood, and she said to me, I didn't ask her. She said to me, "Would you like to go back and see that again?" That was so magical. Of course I did. The very next night. But and it's also, the 100th anniversary of our father, and there's also, very many memories of Dad. One of the things all of us will remember is how we would get very aggravated, but it was a great gift he gave us. When we wanted to know how something was spelled or what something meant, never would he tell us, go look it up in the dictionary. And this was so all the things you learn on your way to looking something up in the dictionary. I would also like to say, while we're all here, what a debt we all owe to each other. Now, Sheila was very important to me and to all of us, being the oldest, and the model, whether she wanted it or not. And her determination at the age of 18 to go off, live in this little tiny town, to go off into Manhattan, to follow her own star, was such a model. For at least, I'm sure it was for, and Rosemary going off to Boston. It was a big deal. Little tiny town, to go off into the world like that, that was so important to the younger ones. That you would do that. You didn't stay stuck in this awful little tiny house. It was possible to go out into the world. And so the older ones were, and I'm sure we performed that function for the younger ones, as I'm sure they will attest to. But it was important that, we are all a part of a tapestry, and we were all so important to each other, and we continue to be important to each other.
Who was that speaking?
What was his name?
I think one of my favorite remembrances was when we lived in Oxford on a Sunday afternoon. The whole family would pile into the 1929 Ford Model A touring car, and we'd go bouncing around the backwoods of gravel roads around Oxford and Sutton and East Douglas and so on. Taking a ride on a Sunday afternoon, sometimes stopping when in season to pick elderberries and so on. But, I will tell you about an eternal mystery that I will go to my grave without the answer to, and that was how my father and mother, I never remember them one time ever saying, now study hard, get good grades, it's important you get an education. They never one time said that to any of us, and I can remember when it came time in high school where you had to sign up, do you want to take a commercial course, do you want to take college track or whatever. I didn't even think twice about a college track. I was a senior in high school and I hadn't given any thought how I'd get to college. And yet, somehow, I knew I would, but I didn't know why or how. And I think that was, part of it was that father and mother always supported us in whatever we wanted to do, and when whatever we tried to do, they would support us and encourage us.
Pass it over to your left, Paul.
Well,
you're strangling the process.
Herbert Harold.
I just remembered a great one.
Give me a crack.
Say something nice, you.
Well, I don't know why I think of this, but one of the things that I remember most was my father had a great sense of humor. And one time I was
perhaps 6 years old, maybe almost 7 years old. And I come downstairs, and on the counter in the kitchen in Oxford, there was this big box, and the paper unwrapped around it, and string. And I said, "What's that, Dad?" He said, "Oh, we got a present last night." And I said, what did we get? What did we get? And he says, "Well, why don't you go in the bedroom and see?" And I walked into their bedroom, which was on the ground floor. And in the bedroom, in a laundry basket, was Mary Lou. little black curls, you know. And Mom sitting up there in bed and said, "Well, we got a present last night." But I was saying to somebody today, you know, that how much our parents sacrificed for us when during the Depression, when things were very tough and Dad was making maybe $30, $35 a week. I know my mother was always close with pennies because she had to be, but I never felt poor. In all my life as a kid, I never felt poor. And when I look back and think of what some of the people, other people had, never for a minute, I always felt rich. And as Paul said, when I worked on the railroad before, when I came home from the Navy and I went to work on the railroad, I worked with Dad, you know, in the same place. And there was a tough old bunch of guys who worked on the railroad. They called them the bridge crew. And they'd come in once a month to work on the bridge and do all the work there where Dad worked. And they always, everybody else was Andy, Charlie, everything. They always called him Mr. Herbert. And I remember many times when there'd be some kind of an argument, somebody would argue about this or somebody would argue about that. And he'd say, "Mr. Herbert will settle it." And they would bet money on it, and they would go in and ask Dad, and whatever he said, that was it. That they would pay off the money on what he said. And so, when I found out I was going to school, they were absolutely flabbergasted. "What do you mean you're going to school? The hell, he's not be earning money and helping." And so, as Paul said, they never gave us money to go to school, but they didn't do what all of their peers did, take you out of school, make you go to work, and help support the family. We always knew that we could go out and do our thing and not have to chip in and what most of our peers did in those days. And I remember when I wanted to go, I got out of high school when I was 17, and in those days, of course, the Army faced me, and I wanted to go in the service. And Mom said, "Why do you want to go? You know, you're only 17 years old." And I said, I knew the button to push. I said, "Well, I want to go and get the GI Bill so I can get an education." He signed right up. Okay.
I know it's going to make
Boy, were you lucky. 4 minutes and 15 seconds.
all I tease is again Sandy.
I was thinking of my most pleasant memories, and almost all of them revolve around the games, the communal games we played.
Pig.
I don't know if that's because I was number 7 or not. But among the favorite games, and I'm sure it's responsible in part for myself and probably all of us wanting to read and wanting to go to school, was Dad's obsession with words. And one of my all-time favorite games, which probably ceased by the time I was 9 or 10, was Dad's trotting out a long word like Constantinople. And we were each told how many 3-letter or how many 4-lettered words we could make from the big word. And of course we were handicapped by age. And I remember Mom would kibitz a little bit, because I remember her joining a little bit in the rules. He gets so many words and she gets so many words. And then a whiskey jigger of jelly beans was given to each participant, but the winner, because handicapped there was a winner, got 2 jiggers of jelly beans. I remember also playing pig, which Kathy remembers. We've translated that on to our children.
Great tradition.
The biggest surprise, in a way, I was just thinking of pleasurable memories, the biggest surprise in this direction I ever had in my life, it was a revealing beyond belief from my mother. I suppose she was a disciplinarian, as you all know. I always thought of her as being serious, and I suppose at that point I thought of her as being sort of incapable of a big joke. But she produced one great big joke. It was so wonderful. At one point, Nora, well, that would be jointly father and mother. I'm talking about mother only. Mom, at one point, Nora was taking archery lessons. This would have been when I was 15 or 16 years old. Nora was taking archery lessons, and she had an outfit which was shorts, vertical blue and white striped shorts. I think it was. And Paul was due to come home, maybe from service, I can't remember. Paul was due to come home. And Mom got out, put the archery set out in the yard, dressed in Nora's outfit with the thing, got the bow and arrow out, but so as not to spoil it. So Paul was walking. I can't remember where he's coming from. I know he was walking down the road. So as not to spoil it, she made us go in the kitchen and look out the window. So we were in either the pantry or the kitchen window watching as Paul came down and Mom going through her fake archery. We were collapsing, and I vividly thought of that over and over again because it was the first time, I must have been 15 or 16, but it was the first time I'd ever witnessed Mom capable of such a wonderful gesture. We'd have to have some, I forget the end of that story, meaning I now forget what Paul's reaction was to Mom coming home.
I remember he was he wanted her to get in out of sight. Mom, neighbors are going to see you.
Your age, Mother. You forgot one part. She put lipstick on, which she never wore.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
And he was absolutely horrified. Wipe your face off.
I forgot that. I do remember Mom putting on the lipstick. And I remember also it was like theater for us. It was like theater because, you know, so as not to spoil it and give it away, we had to go inside the house and look out the windows of this whole set. And there's Mom out there with Nora's outfit.
And we have a picture of her in that rig.
That's right.
Did we take a picture of Mom?
Oh, that's right. Standing there holding the bow.
Yeah. Herbert Harold. The next Herbert.
Yes, I agree.
He's got to send it to us.
Okay.
Right here.
Okay, Mary.
Mary.
Well, being the baby, I had a lot of happy memories, but one of the most was that the true love that my mother and dad had for each other, and my dad used to do this to tick me off. He'd come up and pat my mother on the fanny and call her Buttercup. He'd say, how are you, Buttercup? And I'd go, oh, Dad, do you have to? And she'd say, you know where I found him, don't you? I found him on a lily pad. Always told us that you found my father on a lily pad. But I like all of them. I can remember my dad. My mom would go to New York to visit Sheila or visit Pat, and my dad would absolutely count the days till she could get back. In fact, he would go down to New Haven. He would take the trip on the train to New Haven so that he could meet her, so that when she came in from New York, he could get on that train and ride home with her. And he'd say, well, your mother's been gone 3 days, that means she's coming back, and 2 more. And they just had this really wonderful love for each other.
I remember Dad making Rice Krispie fudge once for Mom. Rice Krispie fudge?
Yes, we didn't have tried to make it. It was one huge solid lump.
One giant dumpling.
The first time Dad came over, he made spaghetti with some kind of sauce and poured down. It was so hot and you could hardly eat it. He was the quintessential future son-in-law.
I remember that.
I want to
We
one
didn't
more
have any
thing.
walnuts to put in, but the Rice Krispies were like vulcanized rubber.
One more I remembered about Mom was that I had, in my wilder and woolly days, I had gone out and bought a motorcycle. And, you know, to give them credit, they didn't say I couldn't buy the motorcycle. And, of course, I had all kinds of admonishments on how to be careful, which I always did while I was on Willow Point until I got off Willow Point. One day I was kidding. We were out in the backyard, and I was standing there, and I tuned the thing up, and I was zoom. I said, hey, Mom, you want to take a ride? She said, sure. You don't. She says, sure I do. You asked me to. And so I hitched for her. By God, she pulled up her skirts and she climbed up on the buddy seat. And I wheeled her around Willow Point and brought her all the way back. She got off. She said, thank you very much.
I got something to say.
They're on a roll now.
I just have to add this, but as being second oldest and with Sheila gone, I was sometimes left in charge, much to the chagrin of the younger ones. But this day, Mary was only about a month old, and I was taking care of her while Mom went down to New York to visit Sheila.
You don't remember
And
this,
I was bathing Mary. We had the kitchen cabinet, as you remember. It had the roll-out top, and Mother had a quilted pad that she put on the top, and then we would fill a basin with warm water and bathe the baby there. Well, I was bathing Mary there. Something was on the stove, and it boiled over. And I left 1 second to go to the stove to turn this off and to come back, and Mary was just old enough, she flopped over and right down on the floor. Just about on her head. So if you wonder, that's my fault.
Excuse me, I would like to hear maybe from Artie and Don and Faye. You know, they've all been around this group a long time. Be flattering, not truthful. That's a good one.
When I saw Mary today, it reminded me so much of the time when I first came into this family in 1951. It was really Mom, and I was just about broke up when I saw her.
My greatest memory of Mom, or my fondest one, was the first time I went to the house. Now, you have to understand, I was an only child. So I went to my house.
Well, you didn't back out then.
I can't understand that.
And Mom sort of takes me and ushers me into the living room, and you know the photograph album. And she sits down, and she went from practically the beginning to the end, going through the whole thing. But I didn't know who these people were. But it was the nicest thing because she was sort of introducing me, and I was getting used to all, what was going on in that house, that you could hear all the racket and the noise. But one of the greatest qualities I think she had, she was an extremely gracious person, so was Dad. And she was able to put people at ease, no matter who it was. Yes. She would come over and she would talk to them, whether she was visiting in your home or in her own home, anybody could come in. And she was very happy to meet these people, and people always said, "Oh, what a nice person your mother-in-law is." So that was very nice of her. I gained a lot.
Well, I guess all the kids remember that pie cutting that your mother had. She wanted to treat everybody as fairly as she could. I used to tease her and ask her who her favorite son-in-law was. Naturally, when we were alone, she said I was. When our youngsters, Leslie and Chris and Brian, were small, we used to take frequent trips up the Mystic, usually on a Friday evening. And Mom Herbert will always have potato pancakes and eggs with cottage cheese for us for dinner, because she was a very religious person and wouldn't accept meat on Fridays. So every time she went to fix the eggs and one of the yolks broke, I would always tease her and say, "Mom, I can't eat eggs unless they're whole. I can't eat broken yolk eggs." And she would take the plate and make an attempt to make eggs where the yolks weren't broken.
MC.
I just wanted to add one other thing.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
That's when Donnie can the theme music would be started.
I'd like to just add another thing, another item that says the character of our parents. I remember I was going into high school, I think it was in the 7th or 8th grade, and we, as we referred to it, were at the height of the Great Depression. I remember I was home late this afternoon. Somebody knocked at the door, so Mom went to the back door, and it was a man, shabby, was begging for food, or wanted food. Of course, with 8 kids, and 8 healthy kids, Mom was pretty careful with the food and what we had. So she invited the man in, and she set the table for him, and seated him, and whatever food we had, or a meal she made for him. And of course, we kids, 2 or 3 of us, were standing in New England term, I don't know whether it was gawping. All was bug-eyed at this stranger and seated. So my mother just said, you children just go and play and be about whatever. So gentleman had his meal and left. But I remember my mother for that and for her generosity. She had to watch her pennies, but she was always one of the most charitable and unbiased person, and my dad, both of them. And I think that's why even our most conservative to our extreme left in the family in opinions always have a feeling for other people and their joys and their miseries. Okay. Thank you. No, I had to say that because I don't. The other kids were around, and the little ones were born yet.
Well, you know, I had boyfriends that came back to see Mom long after they split
How many grated fingertips went into those fields?
No, no baked potatoes.
John. Boys. And that was, again, during the Depression. One was something like 10 years old and one was 12. And he found them walking on the tracks by Oxford, came down by the station, and he brought them home. And I remember he fed them both and sent them on their way. But, you couldn't do anything for them. I remember, saying, can't we do more for them? And Mom said, how can we do more for them, with our aid? But gave both those kids, actually breakfast. Gave them breakfast, and I think gave them a nickel each and sent them on their way.
That's right. My dad's motto that we were as good as anyone, but we were never better than anyone.
That's exactly so.
Yes, exactly so.
I don't know.
Well, we've altered that a little now.
Well, the new generation has improved.
Okay, Seal. Okay.
Okay, Celia Donahue.
Celia Winfrey.
Baba Black Sheep.
How's that Jeopardy? What's that Jeopardy song?
Well, today we're going to have a slight departure from the usual shows on serial murderers.
Yes.
Something a little more old-fashioned here for our viewers. By popular demand, the last time we had the Herbert family on, was it in 1973?
Yes.
Yes. Amid the Watergate crisis, we did lots of shows on that. But today we're going back to the Herbert family, the 8 members and all their offspring, and we've polled all our viewers for questions from back then, and they're very scintillating, so youngsters at home, you might want to protect them from watching. So we'll also be taking calls later. Look at the number on your screen.
Are you trying to tell us you're a call girl?
Now, squash those rumors.
I don't think Marlo would appreciate that. All right. Well, we seem to have several directed at a certain, let's see. I remember. I'm really tempted to start with that one.
Number 6.
This is directed to Hugh Herbert. It's a good thing your lovely wife Jan is not here. We have a couple directed at you. Oh yes, your daughter is here.
That's like a fix to
Cover
me.
your ears. Someone here wants to know you. How many women did you know?
What do you give me if I don't tell Mom?
Your mother.
Do I get a chance to count?
But
We don't have all night.
You can't use your toes.
Well, we have a second question.
Name
Follow
them.
up too. I'll follow
Do the
up.
follow-up.
Okay. This someone would like to hear the story about the lady that ran the coffee shop.
Coffee You saw it? I told this last night, but bears repeating me.
Be careful, your daughter's a lawyer.
Yeah, well, we at that time lived in Chepatch. It was a very, very small New England town, perhaps 300 or 400 people in the whole town. And we had a lady in town who had a daughter, no husband, and she brought the child up, and the kid wanted to go to college, and Atlee didn't have any job, no money, so she started a little bitty restaurant. The whole thing was smaller than this room, and she'd go down there every morning around 4 o'clock, bake bran muffins, corn muffins, and blueberry muffins, and then she baked all her own pies and things, and she'd open up and she'd do breakfast and lunch and then close up. And she was very, very large, and she also had a slight impediment in her speech, and she was also quite a character. And so I had a habit of taking Amy and Julie when they were about 3 years old. I'd take them down to Sunday school, and afterward, as a treat, we would go to Atlee's, and they'd climb up on the stools, and we'd sit up there. I'd say, 3 coffees, Atlee. And so she would make coffee milk, which is a New England thing. It looks like coffee, but it's made with a syrup. And so they would have coffee milk, but it'd all be in mugs, and I'd have a regular coffee, and of course the girls got a big kick out of it. And so some mornings I'd go down and I'd go to work and I'd stop.
Stop it and turn it over.
Just for spontaneity.
Commercial time.
Okay.
So I'd go down and sometimes I'd find out I'd come down from the farm and I'd stop to have coffee and I'd find out I had not brought my money with me. And I'd say, oh God, I haven't got any money. Let me take $10. No question. Give me $10. Well, anyway, she used to make pie. And so I'd say, let me have a piece of your apple pie, Atlee. So she'd bring the pie and she'd put it down in front of me and she'd stand there like this. And I really slow, I'd take a taste and I said, gee, Atlee's a little sour. What do you mean it's sour? I put 2 cups of sugar in that pie! Next time I'd be down there, she'd have lemon pie. I said, let me have a piece of your lemon pie, Atlee. Put the pie up there, she'd stand there and take a bite. Use a little sugar, Atlee. What do you mean use a little sugar? I put 2 cups of sugar in that pie! Never failed. I could do that 5 times a week. One time we're there, and there was a truck driver, a big truck driver, and he, was a stranger, and he had a sandwich. He said, that's a good sandwich, lady, I'll have another one. So she's cutting away, and all of a sudden, oh! And boy, this finger is, she sliced a finger, and it's really, bleeding all over. So she takes a napkin, and she puts it around the napkin, and now it's one of the real good cuts, so it's even coming through the napkin. There she is with a sandwich, making a sandwich up there. Puts a sandwich up there, and a couple of red spots on that sandwich. One of the guys said, I don't think I'll have that sandwich. Well, you ordered that sandwich. It was very interesting because Atlee's daughter graduated from Teachers College, and the day she graduated, Atlee closed the place up. And the daughter was Amy's first grade teacher.
And tell about all that.
What do you mean you didn't do your first question?
That's a neighbor. I have a rather strange neighbor. And when this is where I live now, and I first met her, it turns out she's a widow, lives down the street from us. And we got known, most people get known in the neighborhood by their children, but we got known in our neighborhood by our dog. Everybody learned our dog, and the kids would come along and say, are you Jenny's daddy? And is that Jenny? And so one day I was walking down the street, and this lady came out, and she called, come here, Jenny, come here, Jenny. And so, of course, Jenny goes trotting over. So I go after her, and she says, I'm Mrs. Neal. And she says, Eileen, which is our next door neighbor, told about your dog and all that there and all that. And what a nice family and all that there. And all. And what a great dog Jenny was and how nice and all that. And all that there and all that. And what a nice family and all that and all. Would you like to come in and see the house? And all that. And down, I'll show you the whole house, my husband, downstairs and all that. He fixed up the furnace and all that there. And all that. And all. And all that. And all.
All that.
And all that in there and all.
Here's another provocative question. Let's see, I'm sure we'll have a little dissension on this one. Maybe we can go around and take different opinions. Who was the bossiest of the Herbert children?
We don't even have to. Will the bossy one please put up her hand?
Mary's look on her face.
No, Pat didn't. Probably they thought I was. No, Rosemary was our little mother. She would play games with us and for by the hour. She was our little mother.
Well, from my perspective, it was a toss-up between Rosemary and Nora.
They're sticking together.
See, they had this prearranged.
The question might have been who needed the discipline.
Moving right along.
Here's a good question. So just as you were reminiscing earlier about how you're not sure where you... No, actually that was Paul talking about how they didn't never get told directly that they needed to go to school. We'd like to know, how did you all learn about sex?
But he charged a quarter. I learned it from Gloria Schneider.
Okay, that's one. What are the rest of them?
I learned it from Mom, believe it or not.
No.
She said if I ever had any questions that she didn't know, she would ask Dad.
Or Hugh.
And then I could...
Or you say, look it up.
She told number one the same
Yep.
thing.
Rosemary,
She said, and if we don't know, we'll look it up.
We'll look it up in the book and find out. Yeah.
I think Rosemary has
She actually tell you the
When I was about 11 years old, Mom started, she had this little book. Where she got it, I don't know if it was the Metropolitan Life or just where it came from. It's one of those booklets.
Birds and bees?
Booklets that's put out. And she would start and she would read just a page. And she'd say, now you think about that. She'd just read a page and she'd say, you think that over. And then tomorrow you can come with any questions you have. So the next day, if I had questions, I would ask her. She would answer it and then she would go on the next page until she had gone through the whole book. And I can honestly say, I had very few surprises in life after Mom got through.
Well, that's
She'd rather teach us.
Mom, for me.
You were Dad's
to get the truth.
responsibility.
Well, I know, but you know what Dad would say to that? You know,
Go ask him.
But I do remember what she did when I can't tell you, it was pre-puberty that I remember. I was 10 or 11 years old. I know, I tried out for the Cub Scouts. And I can't
Tried out?
Yeah.
Everybody else was taking it automatically. Tried out.
There was an apprenticeship for the Cub Scouts. There was an apprenticeship years ago.
Only in your case.
There was an apprenticeship. And I don't now remember it, but the apprenticeship, it didn't work out. It didn't work out. But I was already earning money, so therefore I know. It was the summer I was 11. I was already earning money. I didn't like it. I didn't try it out. But I bought ahead of time the Boy Scout manual, right? I had that. But Mom took it away from me. I wasn't in the Boy Scouts. All I remember was, roughly later that year, she gave it back to me with pointed reference that I should read this chapter. And the Boy Scout chapter, I could recover, I suppose. The Boy Scout was full of euphemisms of such strangeness I didn't understand any of them.
Harry Potter, right?
No, then I remember taking, by then the book was mine, and I don't remember, it wasn't Hugh, because I knew there was something strange, and I took that book with me. I remember taking that book with me, still in grammar school. I think it was Vinny. Do you remember my 8th grade, the kid in my grade, but it was older and savvier and wiser, Vinny Foley. Vinny Foley. And I remember taking to Vinny Foley, and then he explained in spades what all those euphemisms
Okay.
Tape for me.
Okay.
Yeah, she'd get irritated with the boys, and he'd be across the room near.
No, it was a supper table. That I remember.
It was a supper table.
It was a supper table. Hugh was on one side, Paul was on the other side. Hugh was annoying Mom until she couldn't stand him.
No.
Paul was I'm sorry.
Mother and Dad were talking, and we were supposed to be quiet.
Oh, yeah.
And I was making faces.
That's right. Hugh was the victim.
My father was looking down the table at Mother, and he didn't see me because I was sitting out of his line of vision. And I'd make a face, and then I'd look down at my mother and kind of smart out. And finally, she gives me a look, and she says, "Give him a bat, Jack." And my father goes, whack, right across Hugh's mouth.
I was always a victim in that family.
One time we were all at the table, and 8 kids, and Mother and Dad, and everybody get yakking back and forth, back and forth. Finally, they had enough, and they said, "Quiet, everybody." And at that time,
That's impossible.
Pat was little, and she had trouble with her L's, pronouncing her L's at the time. And she didn't hear what Mom and Dad had said, or paid much attention, because she was busy talking to Nora. And Nora had heard and shut up. And all of a sudden, this silence. And Pat looked up, and my dad was just looking at her. So she looked down, kept quiet. And for another minute or two, she looked up again. Dad was still looking at her. And finally, she could stand it no more. She says, "Don't look at me, look at Nora."
Don't you remember another favorite dinner table thing when Pat, which boy was it, guy that she brought home from college?
Ooh, I want to hear this one.
And
It wasn't. It was Charlie Stowe. She had a crush on Charlie Stowe.
well, they'd gotten there late or something. We had just about finished, and Pat was still sitting there, and all of a sudden, I don't know who instigated, and said, "Pat, have some potatoes," and passed the plate over. Then somebody else said, "Pat, have some meat," passed the meat over. Pretty soon, the entire contents of
Pat
that
kept talking
table
volubly all the time, and she
was
wasn't paying
just
attention because she was
piled up
talking.
around poor Pat's, and she was so mortified that she was trying to impress this guy.
That was a dirty trick.
I
never stopped anybody.
Okay, we'd like to know, what was the most surprising thing you saw Grandpa do or Grandma do?
The most what?
Surprising.
About the archery.
Well, I can tell you one for me. When first time I went to work down on a railroad, and I wound up down where my father worked, and I found out that all these years he'd been chewing tobacco. Never in the house, and he's chewing tobacco, and he kind of has a little can he used to spit in, and every day at the end of the shift he'd wash the thing out and put it in his locker, go home. Never at home, and only at work, but he always chewed tobacco.
Well, that was a well-kept first time I knew that.
Yeah.
We never heard my parents disagree. If they did, I guess they did it in private. But one time, years ago, Mother had spent time refinishing the banisters going up the stairs. And when she was all done, Dad, attempting to help her, really botched up a couple of these spindles. So Mary Lou came running in the living room. She says, "Mama called Daddy an old goat."
That's because she told him she had finished the newel post. She said, "Jack, don't touch that." He said, "Rose, I think I could sand it and get a little smooth." She said, "Jack, I worked on that all day. Just please leave it alone." Well, Dad, good soul he was, went and got the sandpaper. And sandpapered it a little too far, and Mother walked out there, and she was through. She said, "If you had been uptown, I'd have thought you'd been drinking." And my father was known to go up on a Saturday, maybe when they go shopping, he'd stop by the tavern and have like one beer. So I remember just being heartbroken that they were having a fight. And I went out in the kitchen and I said, It's okay, Dad. He said, just go to bed, Mary. Of course, the next day, everything was all right.
Mary, there's something similar that happened. Remember the days when they played bridge once a week with the Claires or the guys? And the two men sometimes like to be very, what should I say, present day?
Competitive.
Macho. Because when they would trump and beat the ladies, they'd be needling them about their fine play. And one night it really got hot, I guess. But I was upstairs. They let me stay up and watch them play because I like to play too. And then I heard my mother say something like that. Something about, well, that wasn't proper, something like that. She said, furious, she said, you old goat. All night long, I was awake, figuring they're going to get divorced.
They're going to get divorced, right?
That's the most we've ever
heard Dad Bob say.
Okay. Who's the most like Grandma and why? And who's the most like Grandpa? Aside from our earlier performance.
So each one. Each grandmother.
My daughter Julie.
Really?
Yeah. Many ways, yeah.
That's funny. Okay, what did Grandma do when you got in trouble?
Depending whether she thought it was trouble or not.
She had wonderful ways of punishing
each one.
She always defend you against anybody else.
Oh boy, would she.
I had
She was like
a real
a
habit
tiger.
of ticking my brothers off by sticking my tongue out at them. And they'd complain, Bob and Hugh. I'd wait till they were going to school, and I'd go out in the back porch and go, and they'd complain, and my mother would say, well, if I catch her, I'll punish her. And they'd go, no, you're never going to catch her. So one morning, or one noontime, she caught me, and she said, Mary, come here. And she gave me a mirror. She said, now you seem to find this attractive, but your brothers don't, and I don't. So you stick out your tongue and look at yourself until I tell you to stop. And I sat there for about 45 minutes to an hour with my tongue stuck out. And needless to say, I never stuck my tongue out.
I remember one time when Chris was a boy and Art and Sheila let him come up to Grandma's before they came up on vacation. And when they came up on vacation, they must have noticed he was remarkably well behaved. So they asked him what happened. They said, well, Grandma's a lot trickier than you are, Mom.
Dad had this bottle, and Brian would start whining, and he'd say, wait a minute, Brian. And he'd go get this bottle, he'd say, here, whine into this, and we'll call it our own wine bottle.
Right. Okay. I guess any of you can answer this, to whom it applies. With whom did you have your most memorable date?
Excluding spouses.
This is the Bob Eubanks corner.
I had my most memorable date on the stage, and it was with a classmate of Paul's. I was a freshman, and Paul was a senior. And I was a would-be thespian, and it was in Buckle Down. What's Buckle Down, Winsaki? Buckle Down. What was the name of the play? It was a terribly popular high school collegiate play, in which I was the nerd, the real nerd. And in the play, I was very, very short. I was the second shortest in the freshman class. Another reason I was chosen, aside from my gifts. And in the play, I won by lottery a date with this queen who was I was a freshman and she in real life, and she was a senior in real life. Blonde, I also remember she was blonde and beautiful and important in high school life. And in the play, she was my date because I won her by lottery. And my historic moment came when I came out on the stage just in my undershorts, holding a pair of wrinkled trousers and said, who told me to press trousers by putting them under the mattress? That was my biggest line, biggest laugh, brought the house down every night. Some said it was the shorts that brought the house down every night. I don't remember her name, Paul. She was a prominent social, that was my most glamorous day.
Mom, tell them about all those professors that
No,
were
that
throwing
reminds me of
themselves
the speech I made when in high school graduating class. All the good-looking macho guys had been drafted, and so somehow I was class president and had to make a graduating speech, and I wrote up this small speech and I rehearsed it in front of the mirror for at least 2 weeks till I had it down letter perfect. And the kind of the peroration sentence was, tonight as we look back over this past 4 years, our hearts are full to the brim. And I got to that line, and when I got up there, my knees were shaking. Fortunately, there was a podium to hang on to. I was hanging out of that, my mouth was dry. And I got to that sentence, and the audience just howled with laughter. I mean, they just roaring with laughter, and this was not a funny speech.
This
Get
is the
that lady
Herbert
out of here.
body plunger. It started out, since I'm the son of my mother, by finding that this small plunger cost only 49 cents at salvage, and I bought it because it was cheap, and then had to figure out a use for it. The first use, it had then a wooden handle, was to drill a hole through it, completely through it, and then by whacking it, it expelled the air and shot a match up into the air, and that wasn't terribly exciting. So I then collaborated with my friend Harold Rabinowitz, and told him more or less what I wanted to do, and he was the executant, so that's why it's Herbert Rabinowitz body plunger. Now, the fact is, the whole point is to make the air pass through the baster. This was once a baster. The air to pass through the baster into the hose, which is fetched from Bethany dump, where it's in large quantities. Make the air go through and expel this small ballpoint pen cap out the other side. The fact is, though, if you do it on the floor or a table, you have to adjust it too nicely. The air won't really work off, but it always works with the soft body parts. Ready? So, let's see. Here you go, Eileen, you ready? This is the demonstration. Herbert, whoops, sorry, I removed my pocket.
What is it going to do?
I have something.
We'll see.
It doesn't work because it must be on soft. Must be on soft body parts.
What's hot back there?
So, Eileen, you ready? This is a demonstration of the Herbert Rabinowitz body plunger. It has many uses. For example, we discovered right away it cannot be patented. There's nothing patentable about this except the name body plunger. So we could not patent it for child's use because it's a projectile. So then its only possible outlet is an adult instrument. That's why it becomes a psychological instrument. For example, you give it to would-be suicide people who can't really hurt themselves, so they can. You can also play games. You can, like this. It's more than one body plunger. It is deeply psychological because if I actually try to hurt you, by hitting it hard enough so it hurt you, right, I would hurt myself. For reasons are rather obvious, it's a little bit more of a woman's instrument than a man's instrument. Would you care to? I must say, it works very well this way. We figured we could also market properly marked bowl and shoot into a bowl.
Well, that was a good one.
Or around target, where somebody points if you hit me. I've got to have somebody else show, demonstrate, to prove that it's not just my experience that makes me so well. Who would like to demonstrate? Somebody must demonstrate.
Dennis wants Denny.
Denny, come on up here, Denny. Just give a good whack in the cheek once you break. Just whack that firmly on the cheek, but pretty hard.
Did you say doctors had an application for this too, and it could be used?
Yes, it could actually, if you it could be used to insert.
The nursing
tool.
Bend over.
It could be used
It can be used for self-administration of suppository. Mothers can learn to use it for their children. All right, the Herbert Rabinowitz body plunger is foolproof. It comes apart for shipping.
You know,
except for the projectile, it's all itself is made of soft parts.
Dr. Bob, if you're going to use it for suppositories, why don't you call it the Herbert Rabinowitz innuendo?
It's a plunger, body plunger. We decided after we had contests. Kathy, were you present? Some of the contests we had for naming it.
Sorry to say.
It's much more versatile, I told you, in the sense that it can go much farther. Oh, sorry. I'll remove the pocket from it. Not a soft body.
Good. So, Uncle Bob, how much does it cost to get in on the ground floor?
Well, the thing is, we haven't developed the advertising campaign. We first have to have somebody give us the specs on an advertising campaign.
Don't do advertising.
You can't patent it, so you have to have a massive advertising campaign and sell it out quickly before somebody imitates you. Obviously, people are going to imitate this immediately, and then you lose all of it. Anybody else want to try? Anybody else want to try? So, just a good round whack on the cheek. Aim that. You left-handed, Kay? Are you left-handed? That's okay, you can do that. Good, left cheek.
That's a soft body part.
Oh, no, you can't aim too far. Right, how do you left? You and I can collaborate. Hold still. You and I can collaborate. Ready? You hold this. You ready? I'll pass it around for anybody who wants to try.
Chad, you want to try it?
No thanks, they don't want to get that cheeky.
Will it work if you hit it on the floor? Will it work if you hit it on the rug?
No, it has to be a soft body
I
part.
have to develop a bigger instrument. You can use a bigger plunger, by the way.
Oh, it's under the rock.
Jumbo size.
It's not expensive manufacture. 49 cents for the plunger.
Why don't you ask if they're going to have a Mae West
This is
version?
free from the Bethany dump. This, you can buy the ballpoint. You can use the ballpoint anywhere, you see, so you don't count this in the cost. So 49 cents, 98 cents, free rubber from the Bethany dump.
My Christmas list.
All the cousins. Anyone wants to send me money if anybody wants to. This, by the way, is the only one. This is the prototype and the only one.
John, what are you going to do with the film?
Yeah, we want to.
She was so mortified that she was trying to impress this guy. That was a dirty trick. That never stopped anybody.
Okay, we'd like to know, what was the most surprising thing you saw Grandpa do or Grandma do?
The most what?
Surprising.
About the archery.
Well, I can tell you one for me. When first time I went to work down on a railroad, and I wound up down where my father worked, and I found out that all these years he'd been chewing tobacco. Never in the house, and he'd chew tobacco, and he kind of had a little can he used to spit in, and every day at the end of the shift he'd wash the thing out and put it in his locker, go home. Never at home, and only at work, but he always chewed tobacco.
Well, that was a well-kept secret. We never heard my parents disagree. If they did, I guess they did in private. But one time, years ago, Mother had spent time refinishing the banisters going up the stairs. And when she was all done, Dad, attempting to help her, really botched up a couple of these spindles. So Mary Lou came running in the living room. She says, Mama called Daddy an old goat.
That's because she told him she had finished the newel post. She said, Jack, don't touch that. He said, Rose, I think I could sand it and get a little smooth. She said, Jack, I worked on that all day. Just please leave it alone. Well, Dad, good soul he was, went and got the sandpaper.
Uh-oh.
And sandpapered it a little too far, and Mother walked out there, and she was through. She said, if you had been uptown, I'd have thought you'd been drinking. And my father was known to go up on a Saturday, maybe when they go shopping, he'd stop by the tavern and have like one beer. So I remember just being heartbroken that they were having a fight, and I went out in the kitchen and I said, it's okay, Dad. He said, just go to bed, Mary. Of course, the next day, everything was all right.
Mary, there's something similar that happened. Remember the days when they played bridge once a week with the Claires or the guys? And the two men sometimes like to be very, what should I say, present day?
Easy,
Competitive. Macho. Because when they would trump and beat the ladies, they'd be needling them about their fine play. And one night it really got hot, I guess. But I was upstairs. They let me stay up and watch them play because I like to play too. And then I heard my mother say something like that. Something about, well, that wasn't proper, something like that. She said, furious, she said, you old goat. All night long, I was awake, figuring they're going to get divorced.
They're going to get divorced, right?
That's the most we've ever
heard Dad Bob say.
Okay. Who's the most like Grandma and why? And who's the most like Grandpa? Aside from our earlier performance.
Each one. Each grandmother.
My daughter Julie.
Really?
Yeah. Many ways, yeah.
That's funny. Okay, what did Grandma do when you got in trouble?
That could take all night.
Whether she thought it was trouble or not.
She had wonderful ways of punishing
Each one.
us.
She always would defend you against anybody else.
Oh boy, would she.
I had
She was
a
like a
real habit
tiger.
of ticking my brothers off by sticking my tongue out at them. And they'd complain, Bob and Hugh. I'd wait till they were going to school, and I'd go out on the back porch and go, and they'd complain. My mother'd say, well, if I catch her, I'll punish her. And they'd go, no, you're never going to catch her. So one morning, or one noontime, she caught me, and she said, Mary, come here. And she gave me a mirror. She said, now you seem to find this attractive, but your brothers don't, and I don't, so you stick out your tongue and look at yourself until I tell you to stop. And I sat there for about 45 minutes to an hour with my tongue stuck out, and needless to say, I never stuck my tongue out.
I remember one time when Chris was a boy and Art and Sheila let him come up to Grandma's before they came up on vacation. And when they came up on vacation, they must have noticed he was remarkably well behaved. So they asked him what happened. They said, well, Grandma's a lot trickier than you are, Mom.
Dad had this bottle, and Brian would start whining, and he'd say, wait a minute, Brian. And he'd go get this bottle, he'd say, here, whine into this, and we'll call it our own wine bottle.
Right. Okay. I guess any of you can answer this, to whom it applies. With whom did you have your most memorable date?
Excluding spouses.
This is the Bob Eubanks corner.
I had my most memorable date on the stage, and it was with a classmate of Paul's. I was a freshman, and Paul was a senior. And I was a would-be thespian, and it was in Buckle Down. What's Buckle Down, Windsocki? Buckle Down. What was the name of the play? It was a terribly popular high school collegiate play, in which I was the nerd, the real nerd.